I'm the kind of movie watcher where any day could be Halloween. I consume a lot of content, but horror is something I'm always on the search for. I have a yearly series on this channel where I discuss films that are actually scary, but that's only one avenue to Horror Town. Regardless of how freaky these films are, which horror movies are actually good? 6 great horror films, no particular order. Here we go. First is 1982's The Thing. First off, yes, The Thing totally holds up. It's damn near a masterpiece in both body horror and as a paranoia thriller. The makeup is astounding. The plot moves methodically, and the creature design is unbridled madness. It's a crazy tag team, and it totally works. I showed it to my younger brother, and it was euphoric seeing the movie mess with him. At first, he was, at best, mildly intrigued, even a little bored, as the remote outpost and these characters are set up. Then we realized why the Norwegians were trying to kill that dog, and his jaw dropped to his ankles and his eyes turned into dinner plates. Oh God! He was like that for the rest of the movie. It was wonderful. And while he gave me hell for it afterwards, he acknowledged that outside of shock factor, it's still a good movie. The mix of expansive and uncomfortable cinematography, the ominous thuds of the soundtrack, Kurt Russell's performance, and the escalating tension all create a thrilling experience that I don't think you can find anywhere else. The pacing is tighter than a corset. The blood test and defib scenes are iconic for all the right reasons. It deserves the reputation it has. Go see it and see it again.
Can't burn the find of the century. That's going to win somebody the Nobel Prize.
Next is 2018's Mandy, a visually striking and trippy piece of cosmic horror. I don't think I've seen a movie that has such wild abandon, such fun and violence and do whatever I want attitude, yet is presented with this much skill. The cinematography is amazing. Not only are the shots impressive and varied, but they used innovative lighting techniques to create this hazy, otherworldly effect in key scenes. Together with the gorgeous score by the late Johan Johansson, this makes the movie feel so epic in scope and distant from our reality. I love when movies seem like they take place in their own world, and we, as audience members, are humble travelers. Nicolas Cage reminds us that yes, he can do more than scream for hipsters. He can portray genuine heartbreak, as well as over-the-top mania, and both modes are right at home here. Mandy manages to be somber and romantic, as well as frenzied and psychedelic, and the fact that none of this feels conflicting or random is really a testament to the artistry on display. The movie does start slow, but I found it engaging the whole way through. Like, okay, here are a few things that Mandy has to offer. An acid trip where two people's faces merge together, a chainsaw sword fight, demonic soldiers on motorcycles, forging a chrome battle axe. I could go on. Mandy has a lot to give, and even just for music and style alone, you gotta see it. Next is The Fly from 1986. Let's get the obvious out of the way. The makeup in this movie is fantastic. I appreciate how it doesn't shy away from the repulsive nature of this experiment gone wrong. In fact, once the guy's teeth start falling out, I got nauseous watching him talk. It's a horror movie full of intelligent decisions. The slow transformation of the protagonist from man to deformed hybrid isn't approached in a typical scare factor sort of way. The dominant word director David Cronenberg used to guide this transformation was cancer. This is a sickness, a decay of the body, and eventually an evisceration of the mind. The fact it makes up most of the film's runtime is so emotionally effective because we can't believe the guy could possibly look worse in the next scene. We almost don't want to look, but of course we do. We gotta. That's why I think The Fly, even with its critical acclaim, is misunderstood as a gross creature feature. Oh, it is definitely that. But there is so much more. Intelligent dialogue, well-rounded characters, the perfect ending that doesn't waste a microsecond of your time. Exposition is only delivered when absolutely necessary. We are not told one word about how the experiment has changed the main character's strength. We are shown in gruesome and graceful fashion. Watching him perform gymnastics that we know the character could never do is both thrilling and unsettling. What fun it is to see a movie where the creature is this gratuitous and the filmmaking is this smart. Do a Fly and Thing double feature. You won't be sorry.
Oh. Gotten pretty good at it, haven't I? Yeah, it's almost second nature. Stop biting my nails. Oh, look at this. What's this? I don't know.
Next is May from 2002. This one's just awesome. In my 5 Senses of Horror video, I talked about how May is a great example of touch and the absence of it on film. So check out that video if you're interested, but something I neglected is Angela Bettis's performance. I don't say this lightly. I believe she was deserving of an Oscar nomination. Granted, that would never happen since Oscar voters hate horror as much as YouTube hates victims of doxing. Ooh. But I digress. The actress isn't just able to switch between different emotions like heartbreak, desperation, shyness, arousal, swagger, psychosis, but does them all convincingly. And so despite the movie jumping from mood to mood, she keeps everything grounded. When she listens in despair to her crush casually dismissing her, you feel it. When she pitifully tries to engage the same man on the phone, you feel it. What's wild is that her succumbing to murder isn't portrayed like she's becoming weaker or evil. In fact, it's the first time we've seen her confident in her own skin. Despite all the horrible things she does, we sympathize with her because the writing and acting is that good. Let's not forget, the film is extremely bloody, twisted as hell, and there's a scene toward the end that is so gruesome and well acted that you'll be holding on to your knees. It's a great movie and probably the most underrated on this list, so give it some love.
I had such a good time last night. 742-5663, that's my number. Call me anytime. I look forward to seeing you again.
Number 2 is the Japanese horror thriller Cure from 1997. Okay, negative first. We got a real The Batman situation here, where the first half is superior to the second. Although, at least here, we don't have that embarrassing interrogation scene that sounds like Sam Smith trying to sing a James Bond song. It's still a solid second half, but that first is so eerie and unpredictable that it must be seen. It focuses on a killer, an odd and unassuming young man who uses hypnosis to get people to commit murders. And by far, this is the best use of hypnosis I've ever seen on film. His methods are subtle and slow, almost seductive. There's a scene where he hypnotizes a nurse with a glass of water. And I know this sounds crazy, but the shot of water gradually spilling across the floor is an incredible shot that has been locked in my head since I've seen it. You have to appreciate a movie with confidence, one that isn't trying to swing its tiny dick around like someone revving their car at midnight in the suburbs, but a film that knows it's good, knows what it's doing, and doesn't need to overcompensate. Besides that, the cinematography is purposeful and beautiful. The acting, especially from the villain, is excellent, and even the end credits are great. Cure is an original, creepy, and above all else cool horror film that I'd recommend to everyone.
女のくせにどうして医者になったの？
女のくせに
女のくせによくそう言われなかった。言われたよね。お 思い出してその時の気持ちをはっきりと。
I know this list isn't in quality or chronological order, but this one is so good, it just felt right as number 1, and that's 2002's 28 Days Later. There are so many things it does not just well, but the best I've seen. Not just in horror, but in general. The best scene of someone alone in what would normally be a crowded area. Best use of electric guitar in the score. Best delivery of the word cheeseburgers.
We don't have any cheeseburgers.
Even in survival or zombie films I enjoy, sometimes I have trouble believing the characters. Makeup, clothing, performances, casting, or all of the above, I feel like I'm watching actors fresh from the audition. Yet here, I'm watching real people with grit and humanity, even now when these actors are practically icons. Their acting has dirt under its fingernails. One of the saddest scenes involves a character serving drinks to newcomers, and it would have been so easy for the actor to overdo the desperation. Instead, his attempts to keep the vibe light and cheery comes across as genuine, and it makes the situation all the more heart-wrenching. God, that scene to me is just brutally sad. 28 Days Later is as much about the hope and human connections as it is about the terror. The moments of sweetness and despair are as effective as the violence is unforgiving. These tonal shifts feel natural and respectful to the audience. The cast has great chemistry. Every scene is justified, and many of them are very memorable. The trajectory of our protagonist into what he becomes in the third act isn't just satisfying but clever, considering how he's filmed during that whole sequence. It's a dirty, dark movie, with intelligence and beauty brimming at the corners. It's not for everyone, but for me, honestly, it's kind of perfect. Check it out.
Edith.
You're having a bad dream, that's all.
Thanks, Dad.
So, those are some horror movies that I think are great. What are yours? Would you guys like this to be a yearly series as well? Comment below and check out my recent video I did on the movie Coraline. Subscribe, click the bell, all the support means a lot, and thanks for watching.